Welcome to the Bernie Kosar Show with Browns legend Bernie Kosar and the top dog, Hanford Dixon.
Top dog.
Gentlemen, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, you know what? I got to tell you guys, I can never get enough of that music, the intro. I just absolutely love it. Every time I hear it, I just want to get up and, I don't know about my dancing skills these days, Bernie, but I'm tempted to get up and try something.
Well, I'm excited about looking forward to that bark like that. I'll go with you on that statement of yours. And in the spirit of levity, Big Dave, you don't look as good as Gab over there, man. You've changed.
You're stuck with me today.
Yeah,
You're stuck
okay.
with me.
I mean, he
Must be a Guardians game, huh?
Yeah.
Hanford, let's kick this off real quick because I got to ask you. White helmets released this week. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was hoping you guys would ask a question about that or say something about those white helmets. And I have to tell you guys, I don't think it's a bad idea. I kind of like it. Actually, Bernie, when I played, personally when we played, I'll say that, my favorite uniforms were the all white. I liked when we put on the white uniforms and we went out and because I think people could see the dirt and all that. Well, obviously because you remember we used to play on the infield right there with that infield.
Oh, do I remember?
It was just dirt right there.
Yes.
But I like the white helmets. What do you think?
Well, you know what? From a fashion standpoint, from a levity standpoint, I want to be light with it. I was a guy that wasn't at all fashionable and was so focused on the game that I was didn't really overthink about it. But man, I'm gauging over. I'm looking at this orange helmet here, and it's not funny that we're going to have OJ McDuffie coming on here.
Right.
But to looking at this old helmet, this was a real helmet here, and I just did a PET scan, a brain scan, the last couple weeks. And us guys, I've talked about this on the podcast before, that we're not able to ever really have these type helmets, and probably by highlighting this on the show, won't have it post having this with Dave, the luck you've had for me with this, brother. And I don't say it to dog people, but boy, on these helmets, on my helmet here, and I'm matching it up with my brain scan over the last couple of weeks, I see the scratches here on the right. I see some of the black ones here on the left over here for the fans and stuff. And again, when you see the PET scans, it matches up just where the damn brain of mine is all messed up and stuff. So that's in an orange helmet that's 38 years old right now. I'm actually liking these white helmets because you're absolutely going to see, unfortunately for these guys, some of the brain hits and the head hits they're getting. And actually from a competitive standpoint and a game standpoint, a lot of times when we're playing out there, we were bluffing that we didn't have a concussion. We're bluffing that we weren't hit in the head so that we'd be able to stay in the game. I'm not sure that's the right thing to do. I'm not proud that I did that. I'm paying the price for that today. I'm not saying kids should do that, but we do see some younger players and some players today in the game trying to stay in the game post getting a hit like that. Those white helmets are going to be like a glaring sign. You're not going to be able to bluff through a hit when you're playing the black and gold Steelers or the purple and black Ravens. Those white helmets, that's going to massively show up when you have head contact.
I'll say this really quick before Dave bring OJ in. We wish that they would have protected us from ourselves more back then when we played, because you hit it right on the head. You are exactly right, BK.
Wow, gorgeous. Unfortunately, gorgeous statement, Hanford. And I say this to younger players. Lack of knowledge, but we could use protected from ourselves. And right now, today, sometimes the younger guys could be protected from themselves. And again, I actually kind of thought some of the goofy Photoshop pictures of the white helmets ended up looking kind of cool. But from almost an X-ray perspective, you're going to play another team, and that's going to be telltale to when you take some of those shots. And at least from my perspective, knowing how much time when I'm not on air here, I spend, at the doctor's office, and how much time analyzing what's actually going on inside here, something I'm fixated on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, it's been a while since we've had a wide receiver great on this show. I think it's time to bring him in.
Absolutely.
Clevelander, by the way. A lot of people don't know this. OJ McDuffie joining the show. OJ, welcome to the Bernie Kosar Show.
Man, oh man, what an honor. It's an honor to be on this show, man. You guys have no idea. And real quick, those all whites, Hanford?
Yeah.
I mean, those all whites, I'm going to tell you how you guys really did it. What made me love all those all whites, right? Because you did the all whites, but then you had the stripes from your socks real close to your shoes. You know what I mean? You had the long rags, man. Now, you talk about a kid that was just loving watching those all whites in the muddy, Cleveland Municipal. That was outstanding, man. That's an outstanding uniform.
Hey, OJ, you remember me, dog, when I had that long towel? You remember
Long
towel, Bernie, all the way down almost to my ankle? People ask me sometimes, they wonder why I didn't trip on that towel.
Between Mr. Fashionable here, between you and me, the two of us and from fashion are average right there. Hey,
yeah, you guys are polar opposites when it came to fashion, Bernie. I won't even tell you how sloppy your uniform looked, Bernie. You know what I mean? But
hey, Juice, for you then, for our listeners and viewers out there, to know so much about the Browns, for 1987 to be one of the high school offensive player of the year, when I was the Browns NFL player of the year. And then we had Defensive Player of the Year, Desmond Howard. So the pride of Hawkins High School, Clevelander via Marion, Ohio. Give us a couple of those Browns memories coming back from the old days.
Man, you kidding me, man? I mean, I remember the 12 Days of Browns Christmas, man. You remember those?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It was we were so Cleveland Browns out, man. And of course, Bernie, before you, we had Brian Sight. But once you came in, man, it changed the whole world, man, for me when it came to being a Browns fan. Growing up in Marion, Ohio, we either picked between Cincinnati or Cleveland, or, a lot of people had Dallas or Pittsburgh, So I had Dallas as my NFC team and the Cleveland Browns were my AFC team, man. So going to school at Hawkins, the Browns were so much fun all the time. Always fighting for, obviously position in the playoffs and winning your division. But then, of course, we had a few games where we were just short of getting to where we all thought the Browns should have been. So, man, it was just always a fun time. And when I talked about, leaving Cleveland and going to Penn State and then asked where I wanted to get drafted, my number one team I wanted to get drafted by were the Cleveland Browns. I wanted to come home so bad.
OJ, I have a question for you. You talked about Brian Sipe in those days, and because I remember now, I played a year with Sipe, and I remember the year before I came, I was watching that playoff game, and I'm wondering if you remember that playoff game when the Browns lost to the Raiders. I think it was, Bernie, where Brian Sipe threw the interception in the end zone. He was throwing the ball to Ozzie in the end zone, and the Raiders picked that off. Do you remember that particular play, or were you too young, or do you remember that?
I think, let me do the math, though. I think my man was about 4 years old, 5 years old, as a math major.
But he remember Brian Sipe,
yes.
I mean, that was the Sipe days, though, so that's why I had to throw it at him.
I'm going to tell you this, Hanford. Unfortunately, man, I just remember I hate to say a lot of disappointment, man.
Oh, God,
just because of the love, man, the love that we all have as Browns fans growing up, we just it kind of reminds me, well, not really, because my Dolphins have never been as successful as the Browns were back then. But, you that love for the team, and then to see them come up short, or, another team just came in and played better,
right.
And then, the amount of frustration it was and disappointment because we were just such huge fans, man. So I don't remember the interception. I do remember a lot of those guys. Of course, I remember Big Ozzie, and of course what he, went on to do with the Ravens after that as well. But man, oh man, that Browns team in that muddy stadium and those muddy uniforms just grinding out and the dog fight, really, literally, man, it was so much fun to watch.
OJ, as we talk about that competitiveness, whether it was us in the mid '80s and Marty Schottenheimer, and I was blessed with you and me in the mid-'90s, and Coach Shula, and that wanting to finish, Jimmy Johnson, finishing, being the best you can. When we were that age, and even lately into the last few years, there was no consolation, nothing accepting other than being the best. And when only one of those teams ends up winning, when at that point things were at times disappointing. But now as we get older and you see how far some of those teams went, some of the relationships you ended up doing, some of the successes that you ended up having with that. I won't go back as far as memories of the Brian Sipe stuff, but one of the games that you mentioned Dallas growing up as a fan and stuff. Your rookie year, 1993, we played against each other. Unfortunately, I was released from the Cleveland Browns down on that Thanksgiving Day game on the Dallas Cowboys in the Leon Let It Be game.
Yeah, Leon Let It Be game. I like that. That's the first time I heard that. Yeah, that was. You know what? You talk about that, Bernie. Let me just tell you, man. Like I said earlier, man, before when we got on, man, being able to be on with you two guys right here, guys that I really just love, growing up, watching, being a Browns fan that I was, man. Seeing you on the other sideline wasn't, that was one thing. But then, of course, getting you in my own locker room, man, I was starstruck, bro. I'm gonna let you know that right now. I was in awe of seeing Bernie Kosar, the quarterback I grew up loving, playing for the same team I was on. But you know that game as well, the Leon Let It Be game on Thanksgiving. That was the last game we won, and that was the last game you guys lost. You guys went on to win it all, and we didn't win another game. We had the best record in football at that point, 9-2, and we lost our last 5 and missed the playoffs. And so that was a tough one right there, man. A nasty little weather-wise game. It was like a little sleet or whatever it was on the field, and it was just exciting for me as a rookie to be a part of what everybody, I think, growing up as football players and kids enjoyed was playing on Thanksgiving. You either get Detroit or you get Dallas. And when you get Dallas, it means that's the game you always want.
Hey,
Detroit
Juice.
game is one thing, right?
Hey, Juice.
Right, Hanford?
You're exactly right with that. Let me ask you.
Hey, wait. I gotta ask you,
Go ahead.
Juice.
Go ahead.
I'm thinking of another game you and me played, and I really want to drag Hanford into this. So the the Dallas Thanksgiving Day game, probably even inappropriate that I brought that up. But one of the games though that I'm really proud of, and it was big, was the spike clock play up at the Meadowlands and stuff in like 1994 and stuff. And I say that with Hanford here because Hanford, that clock spike play originated in Cleveland, Ohio at Baldwin Wallet's practice field in 1986. And we started practicing that for 2-minute drives where I didn't want to waste plays. If the corners were off, and I know OJ will still be able to go through the rules. If the corner is off, it's a quick speed out. If the corner's up and pressed, you have a quick fade to throw. We practiced that against Hanford Dixon and Frank Minifield all through 1986. And then the situation came up in the Jets double overtime playoff game. In the first half, I hit it a quick out. In the second half, I didn't have the arm talent that the great Danny Marino did. I shade under through it, for an incomplete pass. That situation never came up again for 8.5 more years, yet I practiced that damn thing every day of my life, everywhere I went. So, Juice, I'm sitting next to Hanford. I tricked him a lot on that damn play in practice.
And I don't think
you know what, Bernie, what's so lovely about that play is, man, I remember you saying in the meeting, and we've had you on our podcast, Fish Tank, and you said that play has went with you everywhere you've been. You've taken that play with you. And now you just, corroborated it now, talking about the playbook back with the Browns back in the mid-'80s. But when you had that play, and we talked about that play, you got up there and said it's going to work one time and one time only. You know what I mean? And boy, did Danny catch the right time, right person. We had Aaron Glenn, who's the defense coordinator for the Detroit Lions now, but he was a rookie corner out there, caught him slipping a little bit. We've been on a long 2-minute drive trying to go down there and win the football game. So everybody in front of us, in front of the line, were exhausted. And remember, Bernie, that, you'd also said that, all right, guys, anytime we do this, you guys have to do like solid protection from the offensive line. Oh, some of our offensive linemen slipped up on that play.
Gosh, yeah.
And they had a leak, and Danny got hit a little bit on that play, and he's sitting there, right? But he threw a little back shoulder to Mark. But, man, I said, anytime somebody talks about a spike play, they always talk about Dan Marino. I said, you got to start with Bernie Kosar first.
That's where it all started.
Hey, Juice, you were mentioning about the line, and we were so good at selling it, and Danny was awesome at throwing and selling it and stuff, that we did trick one of a couple of our linemen, and I say this for our Northeastern Ohio viewers and listeners. One of the linemen who we love to death had an awesome game, but Burt Widener, the Kent State product, got fooled by that play there and took a hit there, and that kind of era, and God, just even saying that name and how Burt Widener, who's doing great and stuff, Juice, but it actually reminds me some of those linemen from that era and that team. Tom McHale, unfortunately, is no longer with us. Chuck Klingbeil and stuff, and we've gone through a lot with that. And I was just on Fox News a couple weeks ago talking about the traumatic brain injuries and the CTE with the Concussion Legacy Fund, and one of our old teammates, Tom McHale, on the offensive line. Unfortunately, he was the second brain donated post his passing, and that's Chuck Klingbeil. I ran him, Bert, Tom, and that was a lot of guys running together, and a lot of our old teammates have had some of these issues.
OJ, quick question for you. You played with Duper and Clayton, correct?
I played with Duper for a mini camp. Clayton had just gotten traded to Green Bay for a second-round pick, and we got Irvin Fryer.
Okay, let me ask you this, because I remember when we came, Minnie and I, we was getting ready, Bernie, we was getting ready for a big playoff game. We had to go to Miami, and Minnie and I had to deal with Duper and Clayton all day in that heat. By the way, they caught one pass. I'll just say that. What was your thoughts, though, when you were coming in there, you were getting a chance to play with a talent like Duper, right?
Yeah. You know what, man? It's so funny because all of us, and I think there's a lot of video games going on in college back then where you play with those guys. I played with top dogs all the time. Man.
Yeah.
Bump and run coverage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Grabbing and holding like you did Hanford all the time. You know what I mean? Things like that. You and Frank always grabbing and holding people. It was legal, right?
It was legal, yeah.
As long as you don't get caught, you know what I mean? What do you guys expect us to do? You guys out there running those world-class sprinters out there, they want us to just go out there.
With awesome releases.
Hey,
but yeah, man, I'm gonna tell you, man, it was to actually going to camp. Same thing when I saw Bernie in camp. Going to camp. And those guys, like I said, Duke was there, and Clayton. It's so funny because Clayton and I are like almost like best friends now, and I never played with him. We just spend that much time, around rolling the same circles in Miami, or talking on the phone. We even played dominoes online together. You know what I mean? So we're still tight like that. But being able to go in there, and then that the pressure that you're going to have, because if they're letting the Marx brothers go, that means they're expecting some other guys to come in and fill those shoes.
That was you.
Big shoes, as you know. But they brought in, Irvin Fryer and Mark Ingram. Tony Martin was there. So for me, it was a lot less pressure than those veteran guys that were coming in there as starters. I was coming in as a 4 guy, maybe a 5 guy, and returning kicks. But man, it was like exciting. It was exciting to go down there and have Marino as your quarterback and know what he did with the Marx brothers.
Wow,
you got to know a dude is a bad dude when you can sell isotoner gloves living in Miami. So I was going down there to play with a bad man, Hanford.
Speaking of the receivers and stuff, and this would be so remiss if I didn't. I got to talk about Zach Thomas and our last pass and stuff, but I'd be so remiss, Juice. Our number one coach down there, besides the great Don Shula and Jimmy Johnson, is our head coach. But the Cleveland product, the great offensive coordinator, Gary Stevens.
Yeah.
So that's
Your
how.
man, Gary. You're trying to show some UM love in here too. Don't try to sneak that UM
love.
Oh,
my UM love. But my obsession with releases and running and throwing routes and stuff against press coverage. Juice, you hear me talking about it off air and as we were playing and stuff. Hanford gets annoyed with me all the time about press coverage today and how the releases are so inadequate today.
Right. It's amazing, man. Because you can't touch them anymore, can you, Hanford?
No,
you
you can't.
Put your hands on these dudes anymore.
But the good thing about it, you have 5 yards. You have 5 yards that you could take them, you can harass them, you could do what you want. That's what these guys don't take advantage of.
But they're not doing that.
They just open up. and they let them run. Tell us about the fish tank. How did the fish tank get his name?
Well, it's the Fish Tank. It's a Dolphin podcast, and we're on the Miami Dolphins podcast network. And the reason we got actually my buddy Seth Levitt, who worked for the Dolphins forever, he actually came to me about the idea. And what it is what we're doing right now, Hanford.
Mm-hmm.
We sit there all the time when we get together as alumni or in the alumni suite for the Dolphins, or at a charity event. All we do is tell stories.
Right.
We don't talk about X and O. We just tell stories. Cracking on each other, clowning each other. And that's what our podcast is all about, man. Guys, and you know this, and Bernie, you know this, man. One thing we miss is that locker room atmosphere.
Yes.
I mean, that's there's 2 fun days in football, man. That's Sundays and paydays, But the other fun days is when we're hanging out, giving each other a hard time.
That's right.
Man.
That's
right.
right.
That's where it came from, man.
But you notice the little subtle thing, the Dolphin alumni suite at games. You build that camaraderie. You build that camaraderie that way.
Let me tell you guys something. You know why? Another reason why I like this guy. I mean, can you guys tell me the number of TD receptions he had?
Oh God, yes.
I give you.
I don't even have to look. I just know one thing.
Yeah,
I'm
can
so.
tell you, that had to be loaded.
I'm so. I may have a little forgetfulness and a little traumatic brain injury, but I will say I do know what the last one of mine was.
You see that? You see that number on the wall, don't you? All right, then.
It was Hanford Dixon's number 29.
You got
Hey,
it.
but as you bring that up, though, it's cool. Is my last pass as a pro. My last pass in Cleveland Stadium was a touchdown to Michael Jackson. My last pass in Dallas Stadium was to Alvin Harper for a touchdown. And my last pass as a pro was to OJ McDuffie. Last pass in Philadelphia. I think it was for a 19 or 20-yard touchdown pass.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
See, Bernie had a bias, Hanford. I loved it, man. I loved it.
I had to retire after
bro.
Juice,
Bro,
and it all
I
comes.
was a little bro in there, man. Hook your brother up.
Yeah.
Now, who got that football? Your last pass in the NFL, Bernie. Does OJ have that, or do you have it?
He don't know
Ball
where
boy
it is.
still has it.
Yeah.
Ball boys. You know what? Back then it wasn't as predominant as, and I absolutely am wrong. And for the younger players out there listening, do a good job. Take that stuff, keep it, and pay attention. I wish I would have done way more with that. I wish I'd have taken more pictures with our brothers and stuff, because as you become an old man like this, you get more emotional, and you absolutely would like to have more of them.
Well, I'm going to ask him one more question coming from me, and because I'm really interested in this stuff. I'm intrigued with how this whole thing is going. Juice, with the running back position, it's amazing to me how you look at these running backs and how they devalue the position, and they don't give these guys, I think, what they're truly worth. What do you think about that whole situation with the running backs and how they're being paid today? I know I played defensive back, you wide receiver, but I was just curious how you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's amazing how the game has changed, Hanford, right? I mean, you think about it, back when we played, the quarterback position has always been the number one position, but the running back position, and you look at some of the linebackers that, had to stop some of these running backs, in offensive line, defensive line. Now, don't you wish we played now? With the wide receivers, the number 3 wide receivers making $12 to $15 million a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These cover corners are making a gazillion dollars a year. Whereas the running back positions become by committee. You guys had the backs that were in there all the time, man. I remember, Mack and Biner and all those guys that you guys had toting the rock all the time, and they were in there until they got tired.
That's right. That's right.
These guys now, man, I mean, they get 15 touches, 12 touches a game. Hell, if I played running back all the way up until I got to Penn State. If I'd have got 12 touches a game, I'd be so damn mad, bro. You know what I mean? I'd be so my coach would hate me. Man. So yeah, man, it's a tough deal, man. The way the position has been devalued. But what they've done is they've taken the high school game and moved into college. Now the college game is in the pro game. Pistol and shotgun and everything they're doing now. It's all about the passing game and making it more exciting. So you do have running back by committee now. So it's hard to a guy that's going to be first and second down guy only to give him a whole bunch of money. And you got 3 or 4 of these guys that are out there. You got a guy that's coming on third down. You got a guy that's got his own package. It's like, so in order for these guys to, for you get your money, and this too, though, the shelf life of most backs now it's not very good. A lot of them give it up in college.
Right.
A lot of them, they've given every single hit. I say that about Penn State backs all the time. they get to the NFL, and sometimes it's tough on them because they've given up so much at the college level. And I feel like running backs only have so many hits in them.
Wow, that's a scary good point.
Yeah, I think that's what's happened to a lot of these guys. And they get to the pro game, and you get younger, stronger, faster guys like we always see at every position. Except for the quarterback position. They'll never worry. Bernie never worried about that.
Just the arm going, just the elbow going.
20 years in the league, you ain't got to worry about me and my speed and all. You know what I mean?
Hey, big dog, what would you be worth now coming into Penn State?
Man, don't even.
Hey, could you imagine?
You know what? I was trying to put things in perspective, right? I told you about the Penn State. about the Miami Dolphin alumni suite, right?
Right.
But I talk about, I run the guys like Dick Anderson who play on the perfect season team. And he tells me that, he won Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and they bumped up his salary like $13,500. You know what I mean? So I gotta be I came around my time. My time.
Right. Hey, we're not mad at him. We just wish that we could have got some of that,
Hey, you're going to be coming up here in a couple weeks to hang out with me for the Hall of Fame. One of our old teammates and good buddies, Zach Thomas, is coming in. Into the family here. We've got Joe Thomas up here in Cleveland also coming in for some of the listeners out there. And Juice, absolutely appropriate for this call here with Top Dog and Big Dave on here. These guys have, this whole year of this podcast, have got wore out with me on air, but way wore out with me off air about beverages and food. And I am the massive juicer, okay? And my new juice, and food is your medicine. So I don't want to, I'm a little in front of us here for our viewers and listeners out there. But gang, me and OJ are going to be doing some health and wellness stuff together. Besides that perfect name of OJ and Juice, okay, is a massive, awesome friend and teammate and concerned about health and wellness. It's a lot of cool things we're going to be doing together, brother. Love you.
Absolutely, Bernie. I mean, I'm excited about it, man. When you were down here, we talked a lot about, where you're headed with the health and wellness stuff, man, and to be a part of, everything Bernie seems to touch, in my opinion, turns to gold, and I love the fact that, you're going to, include this young buck in kind of, I was young. Now
you're still young to us.
Young to y'all. That's all that matters.
Hey, Dave,
right?
I'm going to make sure before we get off this show, Bernie touches me.
Careful, we don't want to have a Me Too movement going here. I've gotten fired from a couple jobs already. I need to keep one.
But yeah, Bernie. But you know what, though, Bernie? We talked about some of the things, and you're talking about honestly about your helmet. And the marks on your helmet, and the things that the type of I call it abuse that we endured, but we enjoyed it doing it. But now we're at a point where we need to figure out a way to manage it and be able to handle some of the stuff that we go through the day to day without it being some type of stuff that they try to pump on our bodies when we play ball. And I love the fact that you've got what you've got going on with the juices and the nutrients and things like that are going to give us old guys an edge, an edge that we haven't had since we were younger, man. And you talk about all the time, but how you were down and in terms of your health and your body, and now how you're feeling now, man. Who wouldn't want to be a part of that? Who wouldn't want to find some semblance of some type of fountain of youth in terms of to say for certain words to be able to use there, man. And I'm excited about it, bro.
Well said.
I really am excited about it.
Well, you're the best, brother. We'll see you in a couple weeks. You matter.
Yes, OJ. Hey, OJ, last one before we get you out of here.
Okay.
Bernie's throwing the ball. Hanford's lining up against you. What's the outcome?
God damn.
Oh,
come on.
I love talking about
OJ,
doubt.
OJ, tell him no start nothing in here now. Don't start nothing now. We too old for that running right now.
First thing I want to do is I'm going in motion, right? Make it back off a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So If I go in motion, he's got to back off a little bit. I'm playing flanker, right? So I'm going to get almost a running start like it's like arena football. And then I'm going to get to the top of my break, and I'm going to push him the hell off.
Oh, yeah.
And hope he doesn't grab me like he did back in the day.
Yeah.
I think I'll be good.
See, he don't know when he go in motion. I'm coming across, and when I'm coming across, I'm still in as much of the line of scrimmage as I can.
You're hugging the line
without being offside. And if I get them hands on him where I can hold him, it's over. I just can't let the officials see me holding you, dog.
Yeah,
you know?
well, I
all
love.
all I know is if I was playing against Hanford, that long ass rag was coming home.
Oh God, yeah. Hey, and I love Top Dog, okay, but I won't be yelling at him. Break them ankles, man, with them high tops. Step on them and them 5/8 cleats.
Oh, we appreciate you, big dog.
We love you, bud. See you in a couple weeks.
All right, fellas. Thanks, guys.
You matter.
All right, fantastic stuff from OJ McDuffie, Clevelander, man. That was
awesome,
great.
bro.
Oh,
Absolutely.
man, I'm still laughing. That was good. That was good. That was good.
What do you guys say we call it a show?
I think, you know what? We can't do any better than that. That was
pretty good.
Yeah.
That was pretty damn. You know what was great though? Watching him and Bernie interact though. They were they're like two kids at Christmas, man.
Yeah.
They just love each other. I
Love it. You can't make that up. We can't remember what we had for lunch, but we remember back 35 years perfectly, man.
Good show, guys.
Awesome stuff, guys. Love you.
All right.
You matter.
We will see you next week.
Go Browns.